to 100% bonus for every data plan when you buy, plus including 700% bonus on every recharge for
new Glow customer them or the one where they glow before.
Just go activate your new Glow SIM, recharge or buy data, make you begin to enjoy bracket. Hey, carry waka go any Glow authorized dealer to buy your new Glow SIM today.
Glow Unlimited.
Who will rise from the ashes of postponement to claim their place among the greats? And will the greats rise again? Watch the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 on SuperSport from the 23rd of July to the 8th of August. Watch them rise at all gold medal events on 8 dedicated channels. Get and stay connected to DSTV. Watch them rise on SuperSport, your world of champions on DSTV.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Morning after morning, cup after cup. Start strong, finish strong with the stimulating aroma and rich, creamy taste of Nescafe 3-in-1. It all starts with a Nescafe.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
Hey, Lagos, what's going on? Still 99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one talk news and sports station. And officially, this is the size of the package that we had for you for sports for today. You know, I'm joined by someone I look up to a lot. Like, she's a trendsetter. Literally, and she does a lot for facts, all facts, So, it's so amazing when your compliments are facts. That's another level. So I'm joined by Sandra Kwesili, who's taking over.
Yes.
Up until
7.
Yeah, and then the entirety of the election coverage is likely to continue up until 9, and then Yoraba Okusun, and then you know how we go on Saturdays. But I'm just here to tell you that the size of the package for the for Fat G for today, Football Frenzy, is officially over.
What do you think of the Olympics so far?
Actually, it's really interesting because there have been a few medals that have already been won already, but there's been a recurring claim that there's a lot of heat issues. So they're basically really exhausted up until now. The athletes that have actually won were having a hard time.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I was watching the swim trials and it was looking really, really interesting. There's one sport that I want to really be invested in is swimming and then polo. Yeah.
For me, it's figure skating. So I'm a huge fan of the Winter Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Huge fan. The regular Olympics,
yeah, good, but
it gets pretty boring for me pretty quickly.
Yeah, but then again, the Olympics has some football, so I'm never actually bored with the Olympics.
Yeah,
you
you
know?
guys are football.
I mean,
I was sad to see Esther go. Esther, the girl in the rowing competition.
Unfortunately, but then again, I think we've got a couple of athletes that are representing Nigeria in the Olympics, so we're just trying as much as possible to cheer them on. You know.
But the guest I'll have from 5 until 7 and I were talking about tennis before you and I came on air, and somebody said, "Well, isn't tennis progressing in Nigeria? Why do we have these same old people going to the Olympics almost every 4 years? What do you think?"
Probably I think we have a thing with respecting older generations, sometimes to the detriment of younger generations. You know, it might be that you're thinking, hey, this kid knows what he's doing, but will he be swallowed by the occasion? The problem is
wait, make you mature first.
Exactly, you know, and I feel like it's good to think like that to the point because the older generation probably know how the occasion is going to be. But if you're taking the younger generation there as well, so they can feel how it is. Maybe it might just be the fact that we might not have quite as much money to allocate to maybe things like the Olympics and the World Cup, so we can't take more people there to experience it. But I think actually we need to start budgeting for that as well. So this kid might not feature in this Olympics, but let him just go and get the feel of it, which is why I'm going to rope myself into this conversation because, I think Nigerian Info and Femi and the Gang gave me a huge opportunity. Even before I started coming on air and doing a lot of sports, I actually was in the studio and studied a couple of the guys. And so I know, even without them being here, I actually know the rudiments of what's going on. I started handling
and you're not
the
so
ball.
afraid of the mic.
Yeah, you know, so it doesn't overwhelm me completely, but it's still pretty scary. So I think, I think the younger generation should be blended in. You shouldn't just drop them in there. But we might have if we have a little more focus on the younger generation, then we can do a lot more.
Lagos Brown doing his thing. He'll be back tomorrow.
Most definitely.
Yes, from 12.
Yeah, that's Football Friends. Will be back from 12, but I'll be around by 4, between 4 and 6, because we'll be alternating between BBC and then coming back to give MPFL live updates for the match day. All
right, Lagos, it's me and you until 7 o'clock. Brown and Femi and the gang, thank you so much for keeping things here locked and very warm, keeping the seats warm. They're so warm. Keeping the studio very warm as well, for me to come and tell you, Lagos, how today went as far as the local government elections are concerned. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. Let's talk about elections.
You're listening to your number one station for talk, 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. On the 24th of July, 2021, Lagos will march to the polls to elect their local council leaders. 99.3 Nigeria Info brings you minute-by-minute account and analysis of the 2021 local government elections. Live coverage studio opens at 7 a.m. on Saturday, the 24th of July. Join us. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Hello, my name is Abdul. My friends ask me how I stay updated with current happenings around me despite my busy work schedules. That's my secret.
2021 coverage. I have to give you a hard fact, even though this is not hard fact, right? So we've got 317 new COVID confirmations from yesterday. You know me, you know that I talk about COVID quite a bit, yes? And so I can't start without telling you to take all the precautions that you can take. Here's hoping that as you are out there, or as you were out there earlier today trying to get your votes in, that you actually did all you could to protect yourself and make sure that you don't go home with COVID-19, because 317 new COVID confirmations means that we've crossed 300 again. 172 of those cases were in Lagos. So while I know that it's election day, COVID-19 does not take a break. And like I said, I'm hoping that as you went out to vote, you took all the necessary precautions. And I really hope that you washed your hands and sanitized your hands as soon as you got home. Go and get your PVC. Yes, we're going to talk about all of the PVC drama, but it's still important that you have your PVC, because one of the dramas that happened while I was listening to, I think it was Wemimo or Sheriff, was that some people got to the election grounds and wanted to vote without a PVC. If you don't have a PVC, you cannot vote. It doesn't matter if you have Lazria card. It doesn't matter if you have whatever card it is that you have. The only card that allows you to vote in Nigeria is a PVC. So go to cvr.inecnigeria.com. So that's C for cat, V for violence, R for radio, inec.inecnigeria.org. So O for orange, R for radio, G for gate or gate man or girl. So cvr.inecnigeria.org. So let's kick things off with coverage of these elections. It's important enough that Nigeria Info has to cover it the way that we've covered it today. Lagos got a chance today to choose who will run its communities for the next 3 years. That's why there's Community U Report on Hard Facts, for instance. That particular segment on Hard Facts happens every Tuesday at 4 o'clock, is for the local governments, the local communities in Lagos, right? So that's why we talk about all the things that happen in the different communities of Lagos, the different local governments of Lagos, with the different leaders of Lagos, etc., etc., right? So who will regulate your markets? Who will keep your inner roads in order? Who will handle municipal needs like water and sanitation? That's what is at stake every time there's a local government election. That's what's at stake every time that people troop out to vote for who their ward councillors will be or their chairpersons will be. So I do hope that you went out. One of the biggest things we saw happen today was low voter turnout. That was the biggest part of today. Low voter turnout. People saying simply, I will not go out to vote. Most people did not even realize that today was an election day. So I'm hoping that for the next 2 hours, we will get down into what went down across the state this morning, and we'll also take a look at the aftermath of all of it. So first things first, we're going to talk to YAGA. YAGA is a civil society organization that focuses on improving the electoral process. So they had observers all over Lagos today. So I'm going to be talking to them. I did try to call them before I got on, but I'm going to try again in a few minutes. So they had observers all over Lagos today. We'll talk about what they observed, and then we'll also talk to you, Lagos, about their report. Then I'll also be talking to Nigeria Info reporters who are still in the field, getting you the latest updates. And then I have a guest right here in the studio with me to analyze the election with me, as well as talk about local government politics in general and how we can improve the process. I have in the studio with me Chief Andy Oboforibo. Welcome to our election day coverage.
Thanks. Glad to be here, Sandra.
Great to be covering yet another election with you. This is what your third rodeo with us?
Yeah. We did 2019, and then one of the midway elections. I think it was the Cross River Guber election. I think can't remember. We've had a couple now.
Yeah. Chief is back, and we're going to be taking a look at these elections as well. Lagos, throughout the show, we want to hear from you. Did you vote? What local government did you vote in? Which LCDA did you vote in? What was it like? How was the turnout? Did materials arrive on time? Was it free and fair? I've seen a video of a woman who was thumbprinting, or who appeared to be, let me not say who appeared to be thumbprinting for a particular political party, several ballot papers. That video is currently making the rounds on social media. If you're watching us live on Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3, YouTube Nigeria Info FM, we're showing you that video as well so that you can see it for yourself. You look at a thing like that and you're like, these are the problems that an electronic transmission of results may or may not solve. How do we solve for a thing like that? Because she went into her booth, she had several ballot papers, and she was just thumbprinting for a particular party on several of those papers. Now, Chief, electronic transmission will not solve a problem like that. What solves a problem like that?
Right. So, electronic transmission solves a different set of problems. But for a situation like that, with thumbprinting, which is something that we've had like routinely. I think I first heard reports of it in 1999. So to solve that kind of problem, what you basically need is vigilance at the polling unit. So you need active, engaged voters and active, engaged agents of all political parties. Because at the end of the day, if one political party is trying to thumbprint to rig an election, we should expect that the other political parties have a vested interest in calling it out and stopping it, even if, for the sake of argument, the electoral officer at that unit is in cahoots, for instance. So you need a situation where the other parties will say, no, we're not going to allow that to happen. So the agents will call out, will raise alarm, if as the case may be, and then if you have a high turnout, if you have a high enough turnout at a polling unit, criminals fear a crowd. So if the crowd is like, we're not going to allow anybody to, thumbprint multiple ballot papers, and even if they do, those ballot papers are definitely not going to end up in that ballot box. We're going to stop it by any means. You will see that these kind of situations will not take place, or they will take place and they'll get checkmated. And over time, people will see, this is not a winning strategy. The reason why it has worked and it keeps on happening is that it has worked in the past. It has proven to be a winning strategy because there are not enough voters to call it out and stop somebody, and also because the other parties, their agents are either asleep or at the wheel, or they're absent, or based on the caliber of agents that a party has brought there, those agents have been bribed to look the other way. It happens quite a bit.
I'll come back to you, Chief Obofor. But right now, we've got Safia on the line with us. Safia Bichi is one of the observers, or she's an official. Let me frame it that way. She's an official with Yaga. Safia, thank you so much for joining Nigeria Info's local government elections coverage.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. I would like to get a walkthrough from you about the entire election day process. So let's do that first. Let's start with logistics, right? In general, did materials get to polling units in time? How widespread were cases of materials arriving late or the wrong materials being sent? Those things that happen typically with general elections. How did that happen here?
Okay, so specifically based on the LASEC guidelines for these elections, election is supposed to commence by 8 a.m. and end by 3 p.m. Yaga visited as of 8 a.m. As at 8:30 a.m., Yaga visited over 60 polling units, 61 polling units specifically, and election materials were yet to arrive in those polling units. On the average, elections started in most polling units, about 50% of the polling units. I don't want to use percentage, but majority of polling units open at 10 a.m. From 10 a.m., between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. We visited a few polling units that started at about 12 a.m. So just to say that there was late deployment of polling units, of materials to polling units. In Mushin LG specifically, as at 8:16, polling officials were still at the INEC Mushin local government office. Sorry, I say INEC, LASEC, local government polling unit office, waiting for deployment. Of course, if they're still at the polling unit, at the local government office. Your guess would be as right as mine to say that there was late deployment in that local government. But generally, like I said, across all the 20 local government and LCDAs in Lagos State, there was late deployment of election material.
Right.
But what we've also seen is that there were presence of some of the essential materials for the elections stated by SEC. We've seen deployment of card readers, even though the card readers were not used in most of the polling units, and most of the card readers were not charged to 100%. Majority of polling units had their card reader charged to about 50%. Just one or two that we visited had up to 100% charge.
Did you ask them why this was?
Sorry?
Did you ask them why this was?
So we were able to find out that some claimed that because it was not well charged, that was why they resorted to manual accreditation. But again, if you look at the guidelines for the elections, yesterday the LASEC chairperson was on TV, and we heard her mention that voters can vote to the polls with their TVC. So, and a critical incident will be available for voters. An incident from will be available for voters to vote. So we know that the use of the card reader will not be very essential in polling units. Did we see card readers? Yes, we saw card readers. Were they used? They were not used. Even the COVID-19 protocol were not well adhered to. Even though hand sanitizers, infrared thermometer were provided in almost all the polling units, that they were not utilized by the officials there and the voters. We'll see much of voters using face masks and adhering to physical distancing. Again, you might not be officials because based on the LASEC guidelines, only 2 officials are to mount a polling unit. And we know that by INEC standards, a minimum of 4 officials mount a polling unit or a voting point. So having 2 officials mount a polling unit might be helpful for officials, and as such, they might not be able to ensure compliance with the COVID-19 protocol. And this is worrisome. Why we're flagging this is because we know the Lagos statistics when it comes to COVID-19, and one would have believed that Lagos State will have taken this very seriously, but as it went over, as it happened, we all saw that was neglected. Security deployment, there was fair security deployment, though some places like, I'm sorry, I'm not from Lagos, so my pronunciation is difficult.
That's fine. That's fine.
What see in either Mushin, then Lawan Surulere, if I'm mixing them up, they didn't have security personnel in most of their polling units. We had to escalate that, and we believe that the intervention was taken, was taken seriously afterwards. Voter turnout was very low, and of course we all predicted that because there was low voter education. Citizens of Lagos State did not know the election is going to happen today, 24th July. And this is a call for not just the LASEC, but for everyone involved to take local government elections very seriously. Right. I know that by tomorrow we're going to have more information about the process because we're going to be observing the process till the process at the collation center.
I see. Now we're also getting reports of irregularities, and we're also getting allegations of rigging. But I'm wondering if you already have a breakdown of incidences and what types of irregularities have been seen. I mean, are we talking about ballot box snatching or thumb printing? Before you came on air, I was talking about a video that's currently circulating online, allegedly from today's elections, apparently showing a woman who appeared to be thumbprinting multiple ballot papers for a particular political party, right? So things like that, were they common? How common were they? How uncommon was that particular incident?
So I think in terms of critical incidents, there were more prominent was the confusion over inclusion of party names on the ballot papers.
What, say that again? I didn't quite catch that.
The confusion over the inclusion of party names on the ballot paper, the issue around the YP and YPP supporters protest on non-inclusion. Then the attack we had an observer attack in including Unit 008 would be in Badagry specifically, an attempt to snatch ballot votes by party agents in that particular polling unit as well. These are what we've observed so far. I think I think people were more because deployment of logistics was very late. It became overwhelmed. People were overwhelmed when the process started, and the fact that I would say there's no much clarity in terms of the process or the guidelines for the elections, but I think there are a lot of conditions. So, for instance, card reader is going to be used, but again, we are saying that people can come to the polling unit with materials that might not be acceptable by card readers, and a lot of things were there neither here nor there. And I believe you're also aware of the fact that even the last sec did not share their guidelines for elections on time. Yaga Africa specifically looked for the guidelines for the conduct of this election to be able to prepare early. So I think it also left a lot of people. People were also, there was so much in confusion. In addition to the fact that there are issues of parties being on the ballot or not being on the ballot, and this was one of what we flagged in our statement. Pre-election statement. When I say flag, we also talked about the activities of political parties. Some of these parties we're talking about. Another question that comes to mind is that were there primaries, were there campaigns? Why are we having this confusion now? And we also flagged the issue of party candidate lists coming out late. The candidate list came out about on the 14th of this month, July, and the candidate list was posted in the LASEC headquarters. That was the only available platform or venue for people to get access to, and this also depicts the essence of proactive disclosure or information sharing, as we highlighted in our statement, in our pre-election statement. But anyway, there were critical incidents, but I don't think they were allowed, as even compared to the governorship election that happened in 2019. The challenge was basically on the use of, on the deployment of logistics on election day. And I think another big challenge that people don't want to consider is the fact that there was low turnout. Already because of the poor voter education, we envisage low turnout. But again, this lead logistic deployment, of course, will also add to, increase this low turnout that we were afraid of. I think expectations were also not very high, and this is we can't assess it completely, but I think by tomorrow we'll be in a better position to talk about the entire election.
Right. Lagos, if you just tuned in, you are listening to Nigeria Info's election coverage. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili, and we have on the show with us today a member of a CSO whose main mandate is monitoring the electoral process. Her name is Safia Bichi. And this CSO is Yaga, and Yaga is focused on electoral reform, and they have observers all over Lagos today. And Safia Bichi has been talking to us about the things that they've seen so far. So elections kicked off. We're supposed to kick off today at 8 a.m., but they didn't start on time. She's told us about the logistics issues they've had. She's told us about some of the irregularities. We all already knew about low voter turnout, but she's saying that that is the blame for that stops at the door of last year and maybe even the political parties, because there wasn't enough voter education, there wasn't enough awareness. A lot of people did not even know that an election was going to happen today. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll ask Safiat a few more questions, and then we'll let her go and then try to get in touch with our reporters who are out in the field. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. Lagos, don't go away.
Everybody needs a little help every now and then. Sometimes it's sugar or salt or an extra hand to change a flat tire or a small loan. At Kuda Microfinance Bank, we believe that your bank should do more than just store your money. We want to do more for you. So when you use your Kuda account to pay bills, buy airtime, and make transfers regularly, we'll offer you an overdraft, which is a low-interest loan that you can take anytime you need it. No long talk, no collateral, no paperwork involved. Just download Kuda on the Play Store or the App Store, open a Kuda account, and use it regularly to qualify for Kuda Overdraft. Kuda, free banking for you.
Ah, babe, I can't believe I won't see you again till next week. I've really missed you.
Nah, I miss you more.
That's impossible, because I miss you more.
Me, I miss you like Ilode.
Oh my. Wow, babe, we've been talking for like forever. Oh yeah. Time to hang up.
No, you hang up.
Okay. Let's hang up on 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. You didn't hang up.
Neither did you, Joe.
That's because I don't want to stop hearing your voice.
Aw, babe.
Your pillow talk doesn't have to end when you talk all day long for just 11 co per second to all networks. Dial star 311 hash to get talking right away.
Glow Unlimited.
Everybody needs a little help every now and then. Sometimes it's sugar or salt, or an extra hand to change a flat tire, or a small loan. At Kuda Microfinance Bank, we believe that your bank should do more than just store your money. We want to do more for you. So when you use your Kuda accounts to pay bills, buy airtime, and make transfers regularly, we'll offer you an overdraft, which is a low-interest loan that you can take anytime you need it. No long talk, no collateral, no paperwork involved. Just download Kuda on the Play Store or the App Store, open a Kuda account, and use it regularly to qualify for a Kuda overdraft. Kuda, free banking for you.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Morning after morning, cup after cup. Start strong, finish strong with the stimulating aroma and rich, creamy taste of Nescafe 3-in-1. It all starts with a Nescafe.
You are listening to your number one station for talk.
Your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. On the 24th of July, 2021, Lagos will match to the polls to elect their local
This is what we've been hearing about local government elections since like the early 2000s.
Right.
Since that first set after 1999.
Right.
It's generally been like this. So,
Right.
I mean, the low turnout, the disorganization at the level of the SIEC, state parties. And it's not just last year. Last year is, of course, here in Lagos, but you talk about RCIEC in River State, Cross SIEC in Cross River, you get the same reports of disorganization, poor planning, poor logistics, getting the materials out in time so that the elections can hold on time. Safia raised a very important point there, which is that the longer the delay, the more likely you have people turning away from the polling unit.
Right.
So the turnout is already low to begin with. Maybe polling unit of 500 people, maybe let's say 50 people showed up. Then election is supposed to hold by 8, so someone started showing up 8 o'clock, 8:30. You get to 9 o'clock, materials are around. 10 o'clock, materials are arrived. 11 o'clock, materials are arrived. Those 50 people wouldn't still be 50. Maybe 20 or 30 of them would have gone home or gone to do other things. So this is one of the problems that we have. And the question is it a feature or a bug? Is this being done on purpose?
As a retired politician, I think you can tell us now. Is it a feature or a bug?
Yes. So like
you didn't answer me.
Okay, because the truth of the matter is that it's done this way, and then there is enough plausible deniability from the part of the SIEC to say, oh no, we didn't do it on purpose. How dare you suggest we did it on purpose? We just had logistics problems and all of that. But Sandra, you have a situation where, I mean, the person who had to charge those card readers had one job. Charge the card reader overnight and make sure that it is fully charged. I notice here in your studio you have a tablet you're using for WhatsApp messages. So it is the job of you or whoever else is here to make sure this tablet is charged. I mean, I can't even imagine that there will be a situation where this tablet will run down, the battery will die, because I'm assuming you are working, everybody here, responsible adults who will make sure that it is charged. So why can't it be the same thing in the at the polling unit? You have an INEC official whose job it is to charge the card reader. How can a card reader come? Card reader is only used once a year at most. So basically, they had all the time in the world. Anytime that there's small light, charge it small. When light goes off it, just charge it and off it, charge it and off it, so that on election day, you can come out with 100% charge. I mean, Sandra, whoever was responsible for charging that card reader should be sacked.
Hold that thought. Ikechukwu Onyemike is in Ikorodu. He's our correspondent right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Ikechukwu, how are you? Good evening.
Hi, Sandy. Good evening. How are you?
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
All right. So, how have elections been concluded where you are, or are people still voting? What's going on?
Oh, the election is concluded already. In fact, they are all headed to the collation centers. The last time I drove around to check.
Okay.
Yes, it's concluded. Counting at the polling units has been done, so all the officials are headed towards the collation center. In fact, they are there as we speak.
Okay. So is there anything that happened that you think, we really need to hear about?
Basically, I don't know if I should put it as voters apathy or low turnout. I don't know, whichever one that falls into the balance.
Well, they're both correct.
Yes, so
they both mean the same thing.
It's pretty sad, Sandra. It's pretty sad. Like let me give you a rundown so you can have it from the perspective from which I am seeing it.
Okay.
I visited a couple of polling units before the election started. So I ran through the same units at the conclusion of counting and all. So I went there purposely for the second time to get this basic information, which is number of registered voters,
right,
and versus number of actual voters as at today's election.
Right.
And it will blow your mind, the figures I'm going to reel out now.
Okay.
For example, in polling unit 002, Ward A in Ebute, in Bakodo here, we had 500. There are 508 registered voters for that polling unit. You won't believe, just 31 people voted. So all the political parties automatically will share that 31 votes. That's the idea of what happened at that polling unit. I went further to polling unit 005 at the same ward, Nebute Pakodo there are 1,216 registered voters. Only 175 people came out to vote. Wow. So I drove further to Ibeshe. In Semini Korodu, polling unit 004, ward C4. There are 1,121 registered voters. Only 67 people came out to vote. This 67 means the entire ballot paper used. So that means if there is any void, you're still going to take it out of this 67 as it is. And the last one I visited was D, polling unit 006A. There were 947 registered voters, and only 12 people came out to vote. So that's the idea of what happened today in Ikorodu on the average for the local government election.
Now you've covered elections before. When elections happened in 2018, was voter turnout this low, or is it worse now?
I have to be honest with you. It was far better than what it is today. It was far better. Even in fact, there is a distinguished party chieftain in the Lagos West Senatorial District I had the privilege of speaking with today.
Right.
Cowley. Honorable Cowley made it clear is the vice chairman Lagos West, the vice chairman APC Lagos West, the Senatorial District.
Okay.
He confirmed it himself that the turnout was very bad. In fact, he said he hasn't seen this kind of turnout before.
Okay.
Ever since he has been in the system of electioneering and politicking in the state.
Okay.
Although he tried to blame it on the non-performance on the part of the local government executives,
okay,
local government of political office holders.
But when he says non-performance, what does he mean?
Yeah, this was exactly he says that words where the local government officials should do more for the people so that they can convince the people to come out and vote. Because he believes that the low turnout was because the people don't really feel the impact of the local government officials. Those were his words. I'm not putting in word for word now, but
yes, of course,
the summary of exactly what
of
he
course.
said.
But I find that odd, don't you? I mean, if a local government chairman or chairwoman or a councillor doesn't do well enough when they're first elected, doesn't it make sense to come out in numbers and come and vote them out instead of to say, no, they go vote again? No.
Okay, so this is what I also, from my own little observation and research and all, as a journalist, I was able to find out that people have lost taste in this whole system, especially at the local government level.
Right.
People have, in fact, if you take a cue from the by-election that happened recently,
right,
where they did the Lagos West Senatorial District and the one for House of Assembly in Lagos.
Right.
So the same spirit played out today, though it is worse. It was worse today.
Right.
So it's been a function of people no longer connected to the roots. The focus is always state, and majority of the strength is focused to the federal. Nobody talks about the local government anymore. Like most people said, they don't even know the candidate that they are going to come out to vote for. So why should they vote when they don't even know the candidate? And let me shock you. You know, some political parties did like a returning for their candidates.
Okay.
And even at that, people still don't know these people. It means that even at the time the sitting candidate, the sitting political office holder at the local government, even at this time they are still sitting, people still don't know them, talk less of them reappearing for re-election.
Right.
It is that bad.
Right.
It is that bad.
I
remember I had to ask the Honorable, the Vice Chairman, Lagos West Senatorial District, Cowley himself. I threw a question at him, and the question was about the role that local government autonomy has to play in this kind of turnout.
Okay.
And he submitted to the fact that, yes, local government needs autonomy, but he also added his own point that prudency in managing resources also matters, whether you have autonomy or not.
Okay.
If you are not prudent in managing resources, people are not going to feel your impact, and things like what happened today will continue, except performance is upgraded or taken very high up at the local government level.
Ikechukwu Onyemike there, correspondent for Nigeria Info. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sandra.
Chief, I'm going to come back to the point you were making about card readers and the person whose job it was to charge them being fired. But first, I want to start where Ikechukwu stopped, with this low voter turnout thing. I was asking Ikechukwu this question, and I want to ask you the same thing. If you come out in larger numbers in 2018 and you vote for your preferred candidate, and I was also listening to Sheriff, and a particular caller called in as well and said that he mobilized a lot of people to go and vote in 2018, but that the guy went in there and he didn't do well, so that he's not going to vote ever again. And I found that odd, just same way I found what Ikechukwu said on this call pretty odd as well. Why does poor performance on the part of the politicians translate into low turnout on the part of the voters when it should be the other way round?
That happens because the voters don't have an alternative.
What do you mean?
When there's an alternative and you vote for me and people come out and support me and vote for me and I don't perform, but they know that Sandra Ezekwesili is the alternative, then in 3 years' time they get angry, come out and they vote me out by voting for Sandra Ezekwesili.
Right.
On the ballot paper, there is no option for. There's an option for vote for Andy. There's no option for vote Andy out. There's an option for vote Andy, vote Sandra, vote Sheriff. So when Andy is running against a ghost, that incentive to come out to vote me out does not exist.
I see.
PDP is the largest opposition party, right?
Okay.
They're the one with the most resources.
Okay.
PDP's slogan on social media for this election was, "For what it's worth, come out and vote."
I don't understand.
For what it's worth, come out and vote.
Okay.
So right there in their own messaging, they're saying, we don't think this election matters, but just to fulfill all righteousness, come and vote. For what it's worth. They actually wrote that. So when a party's, that is the party's messaging, how much work do you think that party actually did to present itself as an alternative to the, because I'm saying this because, of course, I think almost all the council seats in Lagos State right now are held by the APC. So what work did the opposition do to differentiate itself and show itself as an alternative? That's one. Two, what work did they do for what we call GOTV, get out the vote? It's all well and good to say, oh, we expect the electorate to come out and vote. And that's true. But even in the most robust democracies, I'm talking about the United States, the UK, there's a reason why you have get out the vote campaign. There's something that happened in the last election. Boris Johnson did it. People wrongly call it vote buying or sharing of food on stomach infrastructure.
I called it that.
Yeah, but that's not what he was doing. What he was doing was, it was actually the person's own money. So the voter had paid,
like when you order online, pay Jumia, for instance.
And Boris Johnson now went and took that voter's food to deliver to them. Doing that as a gimmick, but to come say, hey, remember us, come and vote. You have, in every serious democracy, you have every serious party, both the ruling parties and the opposition parties, working every day to find new ways to get people aware of the election and to know who wants to come and vote and gather them. In some places, they even organize transportation to bring them, whatever it is, right? So how much work was done? I mean, Sandra, I live here, I live in Lekki. I can tell you for a fact that not a single political party, whether the ruling party or the opposition, knocked on my door throughout.
But I saw posters in my part of the island.
And now I'm speaking as a politician, Sandra. Posters don't do enough. Posters are just one level. You have the billboard, you have the poster. You also have the door-to-door. Does poster tell you when to come and vote?
Now, I have some youth political party members who listen to the show. And I remember that as far back as 4 months ago, they were telling me that they were going door to door in their particular ward. I think it was Surulere at the time. So, I mean, they seem to be serious.
Okay. Now, I can't speak for them, but the question is, like you said, in their area in Surulere,
Right.
there are so many areas, Sandra.
In Lagos.
We have a couple of dozen LCDAs. We have, hundreds of wards and thousands of polling units.
Right.
So the question is, see, that energy, you can't just say, okay, I'm doing it in Surulere and in one part of Surulere. That's on seriousness. You want to win elections, you have to have a full court press across the state. Or if you've decided, okay, the state is too big for me, these are the two LGAs. I want to get LGA chairmans in these two LGAs.
Right.
Focus all your resources there. In those two LGAs, in every ward, at every unit, you should have people going door to door. You should have people who are responsible. Okay, in this street, Etimian Crescent, you are our coordinator in Etimian Crescent. There, let me say, I'm just making up numbers. There are 50 houses in Etimian Crescent. Those 50 houses, we need a record of how many of the people you visited. Which of them say they will vote for us? Which of them say they're voting for somebody else? The ones that are voting for us, are you sure they are ready to come out on election day? You're responsible to make sure that they're coming out. How do you even get them to that point where they want to come out and vote for you? It means you're coming there every day or periodically to tell them why, okay, Sandra Ezekwesili is the candidate. Why is she the candidate? Okay, because Andy Ogbofrebo has done badly. See, this pothole has been there. See, this sanitation issue has been there. Sandra, this is her plan for this. This is you have to be making that so that, because once voters have gotten to the point where they say the person in charge is useless, but the other people self are not even there. Once it gets to that point, why would somebody go and stand in the hot sun to vote? Or when they even worse, when they feel the person in charge is useless, but the other people are not going to take it seriously. They've already given up. They think they can't win. It's going to be rigged against them because they are here saying for what it's worth. If a political party that has all the power it has and all the governors in other states and every other thing, if a political party can roll over and give up and play dead, why do we now expect that it's just human beings, citizens on the road who have not organized themselves that can now stand up and go and do these things? So this is a failure and I think, Sandra, I've seen the result, I've seen the paper, I was hearing what Ikichuku was giving us there, the turnout. Every registered political party that had a candidate in this election should hang their heads in shame. They failed in their primary role as political parties, which is to organize and mobilize. Sandra, I'm speaking from personal experience. I have been a polling unit coordinator, became a ward coordinator, became a local government coordinator, and a statewide coordinator. If, as a polling unit coordinator, I was not able to bring out up to half the registered voters in my polling unit to come out to vote, I would have hung my head in shame and retired from politics much earlier.
All right, hold on. Let me take a few calls. Lagos 0700-993-993-993 for women, for men, sorry, and for women 014657190. You know, some people say that power flows from top to bottom, and so we can't keep talking about local government elections if we don't have restructuring. Right? Someone even said you cannot reform a company's policies just by hiring a new front desk officer. And I wonder, I've heard that a sentiment shared quite a bit. Also, to tie it back to something that Ikechukwu mentioned when he was on air, he was talking about, well, there's no local government autonomy anyway. So these people feel like, well, what's the point, since these local government chairpersons and councillors really don't have that much power to effect any changes within their local government. What do you say?
I think that's a defeatist attitude, and that's the reason why Nigeria is where we are here today.
Is it a defeatist attitude?
Let me paint a picture for you, Sandra.
Okay, can you do it in 1 minute 30 seconds? We have a break coming up.
Yeah, okay.
But then we'll continue after the break.
Sure. So imagine a scenario where even though the situation is the way it is, right, and there's no LG autonomy, imagine if every opposition party still worked hard, galvanized, mobilized, got the full 1,000 people to every polling unit, the full 500 people. Those people that stopped the ruling party from thumb printing. Right? Okay. Stop them from rigging at the polling unit, right? And so the real result had to be called there. Went to the collation center and stopped that. The real result was called there. The LGA chairmen and councils now, by force, they've been now installed, the opposition people. Let's say as they get there now, the government doesn't want to give them their autonomy, doesn't want to allow them to operate, wants to winch them, wants to impeach them, wants to do all of those things. Guess what just happened? You just created a flashpoint.
Okay.
You just created 37 flashpoints where each LGA chairman or each LCDA chairman and their councils are fighting the state government. The state government removes them. Let's say Supreme Court, by the way, has given a ruling that state government can't remove them.
Okay.
So all the state government can do is like maybe just cut them off, not give them budget.
Okay.
And now I'm an LGA chairman. You've not given me my budget. I'm going to be on Nigeria Info every day. I'll use that as a campaign point. I'll remove you from. I'll remove you from Alausa.
Every now and then. Sometimes it's sugar or
Yes, you were saying that if you were the local government chairman and autonomy wouldn't be one of the excuses you give.
No, at least for winning an election. See, the truth of the matter, Sandra, here's the truth.
That's if you were opposition.
If I was opposition, see, the truth of the matter is you have two types of parties in this country.
Right.
The riggers and the jokers. So whether it's APC, PDP, or ABGA, they win election by rigging. Once they're in opposition, they don't know what to do, right? But once they are in power, they have all the answers. Then you have the jokers, the ones who just come and make noise and talk, but don't want to go on ground and do what needs to be done.
Okay.
So that's the two groups of parties. Because here's the thing. If you were a serious party and not a joker or a rigger, what you'll be thinking about doing is mass mobilization. You say people are angry. People are pathetic. It's not just Lagos State, it's across the country.
That's right.
You do your mass mobilization. Bring people out en masse on election day. Do you know how hard it is to rig an election at a polling unit if there are 300, 400 people motivated to stop you? It is extremely difficult. I know it because I have been on the people's side time after time when people were trying to rig elections. If you have a crowd at a polling unit, it's very hard to just sit down somewhere and be thumb printing results. The crowd will re-educate you. Let's just put it that way.
Re-educate you.
So you have your crowd. If you're serious, you spend the last 3 years mobilizing. You bring your crowd out on election day.
Right.
They stop the people from thumb printing at the polling unit.
Right.
They go to the collation center since we don't have electronic transmission yet.
Right.
They go to the collation center, stop them from changing the result.
Right.
You are announced as the winner.
Right.
You are now the LGA chairman. You are now the councillor. Now, the Supreme Court has even given you the power and said your state governor cannot sack you. So all the state governor can do is frustrate you financially. If my state, I'm the elected LG chairman from the opposition, and my state governor wants to frustrate me and not give me my budget, like I was saying, I'll be on Nigeria Info every day. I'll be on Cool FM every day. I'll be on Wazobia every day, talking about, say, this is our budget, this is our plan for you. This is the money we're expecting from the state government. State government has not brought it. But here's what we have done. Out of our own pocket, we have done this. Out of our own pocket, we have done that. This is what we have done. We have called these companies in to come and do this as CSR. We have done this, we have done that. We would be able to do more, but those people in the government house have refused to give us our rightful budget. By the time you make that noise for 3 years while they cannot sack you, by the time the next governorship election comes, do you think your party won't be in a position to take the government house?
So basically become Tinubu before Tinubu aligns.
Exactly. That's how it works. Because this excuse that, until you get to the center, you can't change things. How are you going to get to the center if you can't win an LGA election?
All right, Lagos, let's talk. 0700-993-993-993. Hello, how are you?
Auntie Sandra, good evening, ma.
Good evening. Good to have you on the show. What's your name?
This is Mr. Frank. I'm calling from Ojo Alabo.
Welcome.
Yes. You see, what I want to say is about this woman. They said that she was top-printing. What are we expecting to see from that woman now? What are the punishments now we are expecting now that happens to that woman? Now, all these card readers, now every time card reader. When are we going to stop hearing card readers not working? It's not charged. Let them give me the work. I can charge battery. I'm the one charging my phone. I can charge card reader. Then I'm available. If there is nobody to charge it, let them give me the contract. I can do that. Oh, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much for calling. 99.3, hello.
Hello, my teacher. How are you?
I'm very well. Good evening. What's your name, sir?
Hello, my brother. How are you, sir?
I'm fine, my brother.
My name is Alaji Arakanu. I'm calling from Ifo, Ogun State. I've just said let's say 3 hours ago. I bought it in my unit.
Well done.
How was voter turnout in your unit?
No. Just very, there's a voter appetite, or what do you call it. Some people don't even know this is going on. Farmers don't know at all. What happens is this: the masses are tired.
Okay.
So the building is this. They said, even if they vote where they want, it's going to be counted. That was people don't go to vote at all.
Okay.
If APC presented a candidate, certainly that candidate is going to win. Where PDP is ruling, if a PDP presented a candidate, he's certainly going to win. Either he win or not, they'll give him the ticket. I like that guy who speaks very well. I like the way he speaks because the masses don't have alternative. That's the problem.
Okay.
I just bought the lady because I know her in my area. I normally see her going her work. That was why I voted for her.
Okay.
Because some people who are in PDP or the other party, they know if they vote PDP or they vote the candidate of their choice, they're going to be counted. That was why. So thank you very much, ma.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. We appreciate it. We're going to try now to get in touch with Vaughn. Vaughn is also our correspondent. You listen to her almost every day, reading the news right here on 99.3. But today she's in Lawanson. She's in Surulere. And hopefully she'll talk to us about what happened as far as the elections are concerned there in Surulere today. Hopefully we get her on the line and we can talk to her. Vaughn, how are you? Oh, no. Well, we'll call her back. We'll get her back, and then we'll keep this conversation going on. By the way, we're streaming live on Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3. We're also streaming on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. So share your comments with us on Facebook, and we'll take them as we go along. Women, you can call the show as well, 014657190. Chief, I have to ask you, now that you're here, I even want to know what you feel about this electronic transmission matter, because we started by saying that, well, electronic transmission doesn't solve for old woman in green Ankara allegedly thumb printing for a particular political party in a viral video, but it does solve for cooking up numbers at the collation center, right? Yes. So what's your take on electronic transmission?
Yeah, by the way, one of the things that solves for that woman thumb printing is the card reader. because if you're running an election and polling it with a card reader, then the card reader only reads that only 50 people showed up.
Right.
Then your result must reflect that 50 votes.
Right.
But if the card reader, you're not using the card reader, you're using the manual register.
Right.
You can see 50 people and write that 250 people showed up.
Right.
And then that woman now has 200 extra ballot papers to thumbprint.
Right.
So that's part of the thing, right? Now but going to your question about transmission, I think every sane human being should be in favor of electronic transmission of results.
Okay.
Unless they want to rig an election.
Okay.
So when you have a situation here where we have our National Assembly, you have so many of them coming up to shout, and then you have the NCC standing before the House of Reps to lie about a report that they themselves put out with INEC saying that electronic transmission is possible, then you know that there's something wrong. What INEC is even trying to do is have the option of electronic transmission.
Okay.
And then, of course, there are going to be situations where, for whatever reason, in the moment, electronic transmission fails.
Right.
And in those situations, they can still revert to manual transmission.
Okay.
So this excuse that, some parts of the country don't have network doesn't hold water.
Okay.
Because INEC is not saying that, if it's only electronic transmission, and so if there is no network in your area, then your vote won't count. Okay. INEC has never said that. INEC has said from the beginning that, it's there as a first line option, but just in the same way that they revert to the manual register when card reader fails, they can revert to manual transmission in places where the network does not allow electronic transmission. So if that is possible, why should we, because of a few areas that are still backward, now stop the rest of the country from protecting its votes with electronic transmission? The only reason why a politician would be against this wholesale is if they want to rig elections. It's just that simple.
Okay. Lagos, let's keep taking those thoughts. On Facebook, we have Oboche Emmy Young, who says, we don't want physical votes in Nigeria. We want e-voting in Nigeria. Sit down in your house, cast your vote, because many people are afraid of security. They're hungry. There's unemployment. You're always going to see low turn-up. All right. Emmy Oboche from Aja. Chief, I also know that you're not a big fan of e-voting. Yes?
No, I'm not a fan. For the same reason, because here's the thing. What electronic transmission gets rid of, which is rigging, is what electronic voting allows or encourages, which is rigging. Because the thing with electronic transmission of results, you have a before and a after. Okay. We all know what the result at the polling unit is public. We all saw it there and it's transferred. We can confirm that it is the right thing that was transferred. But with electronic voting, right, Sandra, you can vote. You let's say you type in vote for Andy.
Right.
You type it in.
Right.
What if now my opponent has put let me use layman terms and say a virus, but not really a virus. Let's say they put a script running inside the machine, and that script just changes the result and your vote from a vote for Andy to a vote for Sheriff.
Okay.
You will never know that that's what happened to your vote.
Okay.
Nobody will ever know.
Okay.
So the thing with that, with electronic voting, the only way to make sure that electronic voting is legitimate is if there is a printout. So as you vote, the machine should give you a paper printout of your result, of your vote, and which you can look and verify. So in a lot of places where it works, like in America, it's not a pure electronic system.
Okay.
As you vote electronically, it prints out your ballot with your result on it, with your vote on it.
Okay.
You now put one copy in a ballot box, you take the other copy home. But that is a way for there to be a way to audit it. But pure electronic, you sit in your house and vote, anybody can go in the back end and change that result. That's why I'm against it. But the idea also that people are staying home because of security issues. Like now in Lagos here today, thugs were not everywhere beating people up. You can't say that that's why you're not voting in Lekki, for instance. The reason why people are not voting is that there's apathy, or maybe they also have a misconception that thugs are everywhere ready to beat them up. Again, that's the job of the parties. If you want to win an election, really part of your job is to go door to door in that neighborhood and say, look, don't worry, we know that here they are not going to come and do that. But you're not doing that. You expect people to just come out and vote.
And vote. I'm telling you. 99.3, hello. Thank you for calling us.
President Sandra, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, man.
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
Here and there. Double Chief, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Oh, my brother, good job. Sandra, when they say afford them, right? Our people are playing afford them politics. I'm telling you. And the like Chief said, all these new parties coming up, they give up before the whatever. Eh? It's painful. And those who are supporting this so-called people on ground in Lagos State, for example, my own LCDA, things are not working for the past 4 years. And you see the same set of people will come back again. They are not doing any good to the party, if not for effort in politics. Look at Osho, the local government. The guys that win for another party. Before you know it, like Chief said, in the house there, they frustrate the young man. He had to cross over to APC. What do we do? So please, I'm begging those who are supporting these people in government when things are not working and you keep on voting them in. They need to do something, please. Enough of this affording politics we are playing. Like that woman, Chief, which party is she operating for? Hello, Chief.
I did not see the paper very clearly.
Sandra, you need to find out the party that woman is operating for. They need to disqualify that party.
Okay. Thank you very much for calling us, Lagos. We are streaming live on Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3. And Emmanuel Chidi Chinkere says, I voted. Card reader did not work in my polling unit. We used manual verification. 99.3, hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Sandra.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for calling.
Yeah, this is Friday from Iboleri.
All right, Friday. Welcome.
Yeah, I want to thank the man in the studio that analyzed everything. He analyzed it well, but he should remember the security aspect of everything. Saying that if you want to contest for a local government chairman, then you can bring the crowd out to you bring out the crowd. He's forgetting the security aspect of it. You should remember that there was once in this state, Lagos State, when there was even a governor that was elected by the people before the election. Everybody knew that he was going to be the governor. But a few months to the election, he was killed. And the outcome of that killer, those who killed that man, has never been known to the public till today. You should remember that. Then if you go to the polling booth, they want to defend our election. Look at the time they take it to the collation center, the time they count it. It is at the middle of the night. Who will risk his own life to go there at that night with minding the security situation in the state at the time around? See, they know what they are doing. All these people know what they are doing. They are just trying to frustrate us. When we were growing up, Sandra, the local government election all over the federation is set on the same day, every day. It was the federal government that conducted it then. We got it on the very day we left it in the hands of the governor of each state governor. Look at the governor; they choose who they want to choose. They will conduct election the day they want to conduct election. They don't care. They can appoint caretaker for 2 years.
Yes, but Supreme Court has now ruled that they can't do that anymore.
They can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Sandra, let us wait to the court, the judiciary is the greatest problem we are having in this country. They will still do it.
No, so the judiciary may be the greatest problem, but in this case, the judiciary has done something good, which is make it impossible for the governors to sack local government chairpersons or appoint LCDA chairpersons.
Okay, but what of the frustration aspect of it? You said the man can be coming to Nigeria through Wazobia and Kule every now
So
and then.
if a local government chairperson comes to the station and she continues to complain that they're frustrating her, are you telling me that her people will not rise up for her?
Sandra, on his way home, if he's big enough or he's big, who will defend him? They will just keep it on that. So the best is that he will just get there. Well, as long as I'm collecting my salary, keeping body and soul going, I'm better than many people out there. I can send my children who are abroad to study abroad. That would be okay for him. We say I will not die for the people.
Friday, thank you so much for calling. Obia Ruko Ume says, I disagree with your guest. The APC regime is not ready for free and fair elections, since in Imo State, the Supreme Court can install anyone they want. They also installed the governor of Osun State, but declaring the election inconclusive and manipulated the by-election in favor of whom they want. They are against the electronic transmission because they want to rig election. That's why people will not come out to vote. So I wanted to take that comment so that you can respond to Friday's concerns alongside Obiaruko Ume's comment on Facebook.
Okay, I'll start with Obiaruko Ume's comment. There's free and fair election going on right now in Lekki. There are free and fair elections going on in Ikoyi. Free and fair elections going on in Maryland. Free and fair elections are going on in Ikeja. In most of these places, what's happening is it's not that people are rigging the election. It's that only 30 people showed up. And those 30 people are mostly the machinery of one party. So the woman leader, the youth leader, and a few of their people. By the time you count everybody, it's like 29 people. And those 29 people all came out with a few family members and they voted for the ruling party. And then every other person brought 1 vote, 2 votes, 3 votes. That's not rigging. That's bad turnout. It's very easy to always just dispute, oh yes, they are rigging. But see, I'm a retail politician, and I was successful as a retail politician because you don't speak in generalities. If you speak in generalities, you've already lost. You have to go unit by unit. What is happening? There's violence. How many units is the violence in? There's malpractice. How many units? And then how many units is it just down to apathy? From what I'm seeing, from the count I'm seeing coming out of Lagos, 80% or more of the elections at the polling unit level is not being won by rigging. It's being won that, okay, only one person brought people. They brought 20 people in a unit of 500, but because nobody else brought anybody, 20 people carried the election in a unit of 500 people. That's a disgrace. That's not rigging. It's a disgrace. Now let me go to what Friday was saying. See, they will kill us. They will do it. Oh yeah, now. See, these things I've saying to you is not theory. It's not textbook. It's practical. Women did it in Rivers State, my home state. In the last election, the 2019 election, we all saw in Rivers State that what was going to happen, that they will try to shoot people at the polling units to thumbprint the election. They will try and hijack the collation centers. Women came out in large numbers in my home LGA. This thing you're saying of, oh, we can't go out at night to watch the collation center. Women did it. Hundreds of women. They went to the collation centers. They stayed there overnight. They said they won't allow soldiers to rig. They said they won't allow police or militants or thugs to rig. They stayed and protected their. That's why I think women are better citizens than men generally. Women take their responsibilities as citizens more seriously. Men tend to make excuses. But the truth of the matter is this. If you come out in your numbers, nobody can steal your election from you. But if you don't, and you say, oh, they're going to kill me, well, we learned it in school now. Julius Caesar. A hero dies, a brave man dies but once, but a coward dies 1,000 deaths.
Okay.
At elections.
All right, let's Lagos, if you just tuned in, you're listening to Nigeria Info's election coverage. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. Chief Andy Oboforibo is in the studio with us. And we are also getting in touch with our reporters who are out in the field, alongside taking reports from CSOs who observed the local government elections in Lagos. So we spoke with Safia Bichi from Yaga. Yaga is a CSO whose main mandate is paying attention to electoral reform, the process, etc., etc. And we had her join us on today's show and talk to us about what they've observed so far. Those observations are what we're currently discussing on the show, alongside the reports coming in from our field correspondents. Lagos, you can join the show by sending us your thoughts via WhatsApp. WhatsApp is 080-959-75805. We also have Facebook, where we're streaming live, Nigeria Info 99.3. Christian John says results will not count beforehand. They know the winners. More people are sending us messages as well via Facebook. We're going to come back to that, but let's take some calls. Women, call us on 01-465-7190. If you're a man and you call that number, we're not going to take your call. Women only, 01-465-7190. Men, 0700-993-993. Hello, thanks for calling us.
Hello, Miss Excellency.
Good to have you on the show. What's your name?
My guest in the studio. Good evening.
I greet you, sir.
Okay, my name is Azubike. I'm calling from Odilo Oshodi.
Azubike, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Coming to this election of 18 that we are talking about, in my own local government, in my own state, Imo State, during the time that we were doing this election, this local government election time, all of us will come out en masse to cast our votes without having any fear of any intimidation.
Okay.
And when we cast our votes, what we do in that particular time is that all of us go with the INEC, to the local government, where they are counting the results.
The votes, right.
And where they are counting the results, if the result that they brought in my own polling unit, that they count, they do not hijack any one single thing upon the intimidation that the opposition, then the intimidation of, we stand in our rights. But come to this Lagos of 18 now, the problem that we are having in this Lagos, like this local government election that is still going on, if you are from another tribe, you are not from Yoruba, they may not give you that opportunity to go and vote. They may only like them to go and their people to go and vote. There are allegations that these Igbo people, they may likely vote for PDP. That every Igbo man is a PDP. If it is lie, you can investigate this that I'm talking about. That is why some people in this Lagos, they are afraid of voting because the irregularity or biasing or intimidation, they are intimidating the foreigners, is too much. That is why Lagos State election is like that. Coach, if I'm betting you this evening, the time that they announced the election result, I may bet you that all the whole 20 local government LGA will clear by one particular party. Is it the way to run the election? That is why we in Nigeria, we should restructure our political system so that we can get things right. Without that, everybody will be fearing by coming out by voting. Because if it is my own state, nobody will intimidate me. Also, all of us will know ourselves. But if you go to another man's land, it will be so much scary because you don't know their next plan. That is what is happening in this Lagos state. So that is my own report this evening.
Azubike, thank you very much for calling. Incidentally, Azubike called the Morning Crossfire to share his report that he wasn't allowed to vote because of where he was from. When we come back from a commercial break in about 5 minutes, I'm going to play a call as well that Wemimo got when she was on air during her own coverage. And she received a call from somebody who claims that he is a retired journalist and he was also refused to vote, and the reason that he was refused to vote, well, we know what, let's just hold on and listen to that particular call that I'll be playing for you after the break. We'll go off on a break at about 6:27. When we come back, we'll listen to that phone call, and then we'll talk about if this is a rampant thing in Lagos, because the more we talk about this, the more I'm seeing, Chief, that these elections in Lagos, whether local or state level, they seem to, have multiple problems. It's not just one problem. It seems to be a multiplicity of issues, right? So you have the ethnicity card being played, you have the monopoly of power, if you like, and there may be other factors that we're not thinking about as well that perhaps the listeners themselves will call in and shed light on eventually. But for now, let's get in touch with some of our reporters who are out in the field. So first stop is Vaughn. We're going to speak with Vaughn, and then when we're done with her, we'll take that break and we'll come back and we'll listen to that audio from the coverage earlier this morning. If you've just joined the show, you're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Well, this is not Hard Facts, sorry, but I'm just used to saying that because if it's a weekday, I'm usually on air at this time and I'm saying Hard Facts. But you're listening to Nigeria Info's election coverage. Because Lagos had local government elections. So don't think that they just closed your road because they wanted to close your road. Vaughn, thank you so much for joining us.
Right, Sandra.
Talk to us about what happened where you covered today.
Well, I got there at about a few minutes past 8. We got there, at the time I got there were voters ready to vote, willing voters, but officials had not arrived. The ward chairman, the ward, by the way, which I covered, is Sanusi Ward under the Itire Ikate Local Council Development Area, which is under the Surulere Local Government Area. The chairman, the Sanusi Ward chairman whom I spoke with, said at the time they were still awaiting election officials. And it took more than an hour before the officials finally arrived. Between 8 a.m. and 9:50 a.m., a lot of voters had come and gone because they were tired of waiting. At 9:50 a.m., accreditation started, but then voters started to trickle in ones and twos, as I told Wemimo earlier. A lot of them didn't really didn't show up as expected. And I got a chance to speak with a former local government chairman or so who wouldn't divulge his personal details, but went on to say that over time, for a long time, it's been this way when it comes to election at the grassroots, local council elections, local government elections. There's always poor, abysmal voter turnout, that it wasn't a new thing, according to what he said. So that was not a new thing, according to what he said. But overall, until 12 noon, when I stepped out, when I left that place, voters were trickling in ones and twos. Yeah. And when I went back at about 2:15, the voting ward, the ward was empty, apart from, say, the election officials and a few observers. There were no voters there.
Right.
The ward was empty. There were no voters at that time.
Right.
So, I mean, I stayed there for a while, hoping to see if people would come in to vote. But, Sandra, I guess at that time they were done. They were done. So, one thing that stood out today was the low voter turnout. It was low. Also, election officials came really late. I got a chance to speak with an election official who said that one reason they didn't show up in time was because they couldn't get people to join them to work. So according to her, they were looking for people to volunteer or something of that nature. Right. That was one thing. And then she also mentioned logistics as another factor.
So let me understand something. They did not have official vehicles that could transport them to work?
It would appear so, Sandra.
I see.
Going by what the LASEC officials said, they had logistics problems. They couldn't get. They were looking for people to join them in the exercise. They were waiting or looking for people to join them in the exercise. But Sandra, the voter turnout today was abysmal.
Vaughn, thank you so much for talking to us. For this election coverage. Thank you.
Right, Sandra.
All right, Lagos, we'll take that break. We'll come back and I'll play that conversation from the earlier coverage today. And we'll talk about some of the factors that play out during elections in Lagos, be it local elections, be it state level, be it national elections. I want to hear all about it. I want to hear about the experiences. More important than all of that, did you go out to vote? Did you go out to vote? What happened where you voted? What was the security situation like? Were there irregularities? Did it start on time? Has it ended? Where are they now? What's going on now? All of that happening after the break. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili. Don't go away, Lagos.
Hello.
governments where they are collating the votes. I did see a report. Now, it's a report I can't confirm, to be honest with you, but I did see a report earlier today about all polling units being moved to Elegushi Palace. There were not enough ballot papers. LASIEC provided only 100 ballot papers with over 3,000 registered voters in that particular PU. And then you also had thugs allegedly threatening some party supporters of an opposition party. This was happening allegedly at Lekki Scheme 15. Now, you add that story to Vaughn's report that the electoral officials probably did not have, that wasn't quite clear, Chief, that the election officials did not have a vehicle to transport them, or they were waiting for others to join. I'm not quite sure what that was. I'm not sure I understood what that was. Did you understand what that was?
Well, I mean, the same people who couldn't charge card readers, so I think anything is possible at that point. I mean, if you don't have enough logistics to plug a card reader into the wall, I can imagine that arranging for transportation would seem like quantum physics to you.
Like I promised. We're going to listen to a conversation that we had earlier today with a voter, and then we'll come back, Lagos, and we'll talk about this particular event. Is it common or uncommon? Is this a single event, or is this something that happens quite a bit with elections in Lagos?
I tried even the female line in order to pass a message of funny things going on here.
Okay. I'm glad you're here now. Let's go.
Okay. You see, I reside in Ogun State, but I registered while I was in Lagos. I registered as a Mary beggar. It's horrible here. This is not voting. This is not voting.
What's going on?
Sorry?
What's going on precisely?
Yeah, okay. I got there. There's a kind of a selective method of voting. Let me give you an instance, because I don't have much credit. I was just, while I was calling, I had wanted to get, I was still in the polling stuff, but to get other people who are eager to speak and express their feeling they've been here for long. As I'm talking to you, I've brought that I came to Lagos to stay in a relations in order to make sure I vote, because I feel if our vote counts, the challenge, for instance, I'm having a spinal cord injury. And now I made up my mind that I should be taken down to go and cast my vote.
So what precisely happened at the polling unit that you're dissatisfied with?
All right, listen. I got there. They were asking, Oga, where are you from?
Who asked you that?
Somebody standing there. You see the so-called, what do you call it, the neighborhood and now the police. I went to a policeman. The policeman said, Oga, please, I don't understand too much grammar. Go and meet them. Can you imagine that? I met a man who's supposed to be one of those. Told me. I said, look.
One of who? One of the LASIEC officials or party agents? Yes, precisely, who's the person?
Yes, I don't think it's party. It's one of the last. What do you call it? Those conducting the stuff. You know what he told me? When he got to know, he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from Edo State." He said, "Ekono be Lagos, Ekono be Edo." I think we say Edo no be Lagos. Okay, you go and wait.
Are you sure this is a? Wait, let me be certain. Is this person? Was this person behind the table?
Is that?
This person who spoke to you, was this person across the table?
Not across the table, but it's one of them.
Was this person wearing an INEC or LASIEC tag on them?
Yes, precisely. Then he actually shifted me to another man. I think it's the underground agent. Then that very one spoke to me. Then when I said, he said, not told me, that's the one that told me, Ekono Biedo.
You know what I need you to do for me? If you can reach us on WhatsApp, the number is, you have our WhatsApp number.
I have
Okay.
your WhatsApp.
I need you to do me a favor, and that's you might need to go back there because you must vote. It's your right. I need you to.
I can't go back. I can't go back. When I am a veteran comrade of yours, no more in practice. I was an ex-news editor in defunct Daily Times. So I can't go back there. This is not voting.
If you would agree with me that if you let them get away with this, I mean, there's a police officer. What's the worst that could happen? Could they push you away? No, they can't do that.
Now, you just talked about police officer telling me, "Oh God, go and meet them."
You know what I need you to do for me, if you can, and for all the people who are listening who have such complaints. You know, I'm an investigative reporter. I've taught you guys this over and over again. As a former editor, you also know these things. Put on your recorder. Get the name of that police officer and his tag number. If you can, take a photo, let them not know what you're doing, and send them to us on WhatsApp with the details.
Well, Mimo, because I'm touched. You don't know my health situation, which I used to stay overnight to come down to vote from residing in Ogun State, coming down to where I was residing before. In Bega, remaining where this is taking place. Then I can't. I think I've tried by even spending my credit calling because I wish I've just given you. If you can't send.
Thank you. Can you tell me the what polling unit that is, and what ward in Ojudu?
I've just said if the time I was there. All along, I've been calling for over 1 hour.
You don't know the polling unit, the name of that polling unit?
I got pissed off.
Okay.
If I were to be there then, I would have gotten you the name of the polling booth.
All right, so we're going to make this a lesson. Thank you very much for calling and sharing that. I greatly appreciate it.
And if you listened to Sheriff as well, he got a call from Azubike, a caller, also saying the same thing, that he tried to vote and he was told, well, you're not Yoruba, so you can't vote in local government elections. I remember that Irichi Bakare Yusuf, who was on air with Sheriff, was so angry about that. And she said, no, as long as you're a resident in Lagos, you are supposed to vote. You are allowed to vote. Chief, you hear a conversation like that. What's going through your mind?
Well, it's annoying. It's painful. It's also not surprising. The truth of the matter is that you have these sentiments all over Nigeria. It's a sad part of our legacy and our culture that we need to fight. You know, so you have a lot of people who take these tribal issues and try to put tribal issues above civics, and you know that's just simply not right. Now the question, and this is a question that we all as Lagosians have to ask ourselves, is how deep and how wide does this go? We have to have honest conversations about that. How deep and how wide does this go? How widespread is this sentiment? And how much is this sentiment affecting voter turnout? But I'll point something out, Sandra. In a polling unit with 500 people, and you see that only 36 people voted, right? So are we saying that the reason is because the other 467 registered voters, they were not Yoruba, and that's why they're not allowed to vote? So no matter how bad the tribal situation is, it can't be the reason why we have the turnout as it is, because it means also Yoruba people are also not voting. There it is.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to Facebook, where we have quite a few comments. Facebook Nigeria Info 99.3. Yes, you can still keep calling. Women, call us on 01465 7190. Men, call us on 0700 993 993 993. We're going to talk, of course, to more of our reporters who are out in the field. But Ibikunle Ibrahim says voter apathy has always been the case. Why this does not show in general election is because of mobilization from the presidential candidate, the VP, senators, down the line like that. That is why you see people coming out. Not only that, right, Semo, etc., are also used to mobilize voters, but the media calls it vote buying. But politicians across board know what they're doing. That is why President Buhari remains a fear to many politicians, because he was not rich and he was having 12 million votes on every election before APC was formed. So there has always been voter apathy, but motivation makes it disappear in general elections. That's a comment from Ibikunle. Chief?
Yeah, see, the thing is, voters don't just come out. Like, that is a misconception. If voters just came out like that, you wouldn't have, like I said, get out the vote operations even in mature democracies. So when your voter turnout is low, you can blame the voters, sure, but you always have to ask, what of these organizations whose only raison d'etre, the reason why they exist, is to mobilize voters to help them win elections, political parties?
I understood that. That was French, right?
Yeah, yes.
I'm learning French. So I'm like, every time I hear French, anymore, I'm like, French.
DiCaprio. Oh. Yeah, but so a political party exists to win elections, exists to get people, convince people who don't want to vote,
right,
and convince people who don't want to vote for you to vote for you.
Right.
That's your entire reason for existing.
Right.
So if you cannot fight voter apathy as a political party, why do you exist? The voter has 100 reasons why she doesn't want to vote. Your entire job, you have one job, is to convince her that all those 100 reasons are nonsense, and here is a better reason for her to vote, and to inspire her and ginger her to go out and vote. If you cannot do that as a political party, why do you exist? And that's a question I'm asking to all of them. The APC, PDP, Youth Party, YPP, APGA, all of them. If you cannot overcome the voter apathy, why do you exist as a political party? Maybe we need other types of people and other types of organizations to stand up and create better political parties that are able to do the one simple job a political party exists to do, which is convince people not to have apathy about voting.
All right. Let's come to phone lines. 99.3. Hello. Hello. Good evening. What's your name?
Well, for the sake of the shambolic and demonic election in my area, I would like to be anonymous.
Okay. Why do you say it's shambolic and demonic?
Oh, my God. There are many reasons. First of all, there was a YPP candidate in my area. I was wondering, which one is YPP? The candidate, everything was everywhere. What's going on? Then the election came today. And then some people came into the polling booth and said, they want to vote. And they were looking at the register. They were looking for YP. And the whole people in the area started, no, it's not YP. It's YPP. It's YPP. They have changed their name to YPP. And they said, no, we are looking for youth party. It's not on the register. They don't know. It's YPP. And out of pressure, they had to leave. Two people had to vote YPP, and the other ones had to leave. So they were just frustrated. And the whole thing was a shambles. In my house, right in my father's house, they were doing some printing. The different ballot box, I was seeing it live and direct. I tried to unsee my sister. I told my sister now to remind me that this is what happened. I was like, wow, okay, I actually saw what I saw. They were doing some printing. The person that's supposed to count the votes was in charge of the some printing, and he's an APC person. And he was the one also sharing factor for 500 to every person that voted.
How do you know he's an APC person?
Should I tell you his name?
How do you know he's an APC person?
He's an APC chieftain in my ward.
I see.
The APC chieftain. In fact, when I was hearing that he's the one to count the election, he's a commissioner, I was like, how come? He's an APC chieftain now. Who doesn't know him? He's an APC person.
So you're saying he's a last year commissioner?
Yes.
And the last year commissioner was organizing thumbprinting of ballot boxes?
I'm telling you, yes. I saw it live and direct.
Do you have a recording of this?
Oh, you know the problem sometimes is that when you're supposed to have a camera phone, you end up having a torchlight phone. So everything is just frustrated.
Yeah.
I lost my phone a month before this election. So I could not, God, this life is hard though. But why is it in this country like this? And this is part of the reasons why we don't want to come out and vote.
Now, while this was happening, what was happening? Were opposition party members there? The party agents for APC, was he or she there? Youth Party, the party agents, were they there? Where the security agents, police, so all of them? What was going on? You're not the only one that saw this person doing this. What was everybody else doing?
But see, in my own area, the only thing they know is rigging. So I saw it, we all saw it, and we are all here. Everybody is all here playing Ghana Boy. We are all dancing, we are shouting. I forgot that song. This guy has won. And Deji has won. We are all there. Everybody celebrating here. So it's like monkey push. So that kind of multi-post where there are rules, but the rules are kind of like very, very few, So the whole election is like monkey post, There are no strict rules. Everything is just like a game. You're just enjoying life. Money is being shared. Cows are being slaughtered. Fries and meat are being shared. That's what is happening here. And it's very close to Unilag. That's why I have to change my polling area to Unilag. I go to Unilag to vote. I don't vote here. I don't vote in my street. I know what is going on.
Now, where you voted, you didn't have any of this happening?
No. At all. But over here, it's something else. Nothing they happen.
Anonymous, thank you so much for calling. Chief, while Anonymous was recounting his eyewitness event, you didn't act surprised. In fact, you were laughing. Why?
Well, what can I do? I laugh so I don't have to cry. So what Anonymous has said here, he has described what happens all over the country. It's frustrating. It's annoying. But you ask the critical question, what were the agents of the other parties doing while this was happening? Why is Anonymous, a voter, a member of the public, a citizen, the one coming to have to raise this issue? There are people who are paid by their parties to be there, to make sure that your only job is, if there's mago, blow whistle.
Right.
Shout, cry, raise alarm, raise awareness, bring down the wrath of your party in that place. That's all. So why was that not happening? Because the parties have said, for what it's worth, come and vote.
Obu Chenna on Facebook says, I get confused whenever somebody's advising me to vote. Sandra, in my local government in Ojo, the winner has already finished every preparation about his winning celebration. As we speak, he bought cow, different drinks for the celebration. So how do you expect me to vote? What do you say to that, Chief?
See, that's the thing. That's why I put more of the responsibility and the onus on the political parties. Right? If the political parties have seen that one party, they're already celebrating because they feel they have the formula, how they will rig it and everything. Your job, if you're serious about opposition, whatever you're doing, your job is to come up with your strategy against it and then go out there and court the public support, mobilize and all of that, so that your callers will feel like there is an answer. People are not voting because they feel there is no answer. They feel like there's despair. It's not going to, my votes won't count. This is not going to work. Why should I bother? Now, your job as a political party, you're supposed to come as the expert and say, don't worry, I have the solution. We have a strategy. We have tactics. We know how we can defend your votes. Just come and vote. We've done it. We know what we're going to come and do. Or we will teach you how to defend your votes. This is what, say you want a change. This is we can work for. That's the work of the political party. But the problem here is like the Bible says, I will smite the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. That's what's happening here. Leaderlessness.
99.3. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for calling. What's your name?
My name is Kelvin. I'm calling you from Olaje.
Hi, Kevin. Welcome.
Yes, this is my
This
first
is
time
Sandra.
Sandra.
Yes.
Yes. What the last call was saying is true. I was at the police station this morning.
Okay.
Though I did not vote. I'm from Ghana. I'm a Ghanaian.
Okay.
So I witnessed everything. PDP are sharing minerals, while APC are bribing 500 naira to each voter.
Okay.
I witnessed everything. Even I was telling my uncle this morning that assuming I can hide and record everything, that I will send you to people. I witnessed this by myself. No one told me or no one called me to come and see. I witnessed by myself. So they buy vote this morning everywhere. PDP and APC, they did that. There's one woman got angry this morning because the woman voted and she was going there. They called the woman back to come and take drink. They said, for what? So it's real everywhere. That's what they are doing. Though people did not even turn out. People that came, they are not up to like 50 people to come and vote, but they buy. Even though they asked me to come and vote so that they will give me money, but I said I can't vote because I'm not a Nigerian. So it's true.
All right. Thank you very much for calling to share with us. On WhatsApp, we have somebody who didn't... Emmanuel from Shomolu. Emmanuel says that Shomolu, we didn't even know polling unit because they were using the national polling unit. Shomolu Local Government Area Ward E, the voting accreditation... well, you're just repeating the messages that you sent to the morning team already. All right, so these issues are not current at the moment. Emmanuel, thank you very much for trying to get in touch with us. Paul Idemudia says, from Surulere, I don't know why people are surprised about the tribal treatment given to non-indigenous in Lagos state elections. Remember the Okota debacle in the last governorship election when voting was disrupted because the opposition was obviously leading with margins of votes that would have had significant impact in the final outcome of the election result. All right. Sandra, in support of the phone call by Anonymous. So I think we have footage. Well, that's the same footage that's already in circulation on social media. Sandra, good evening. There's tribalism in Lagos elections. In general elections, thugs are sent to areas dominated by Igbos to disrupt elections so the opposition will not have votes. Example, Okota during presidential elections. That's a message from Chino. Chino, thank you very much for your message. More messages here. What Lagos is currently doing is not election, but revalidation of existing political office holders. How can this be an election when the supervising polling officers are working in the local governments and the LCDAs? Well, it's Sandra on air right now, but thank you very much for sending your message in. Do I sound like Wemimo? We've got David who says, on the voters' low turnout, the people feel they have had the worst in this government in general. They just don't see the need to participate in this local government election, as the case may be. All right. Good afternoon, Sandra. Ooh, Ade with a very long message as usual. I'm Ade from Surulere. I've just sent you a video. What do you call that? The whole system is a joke from scratch when not the people's chosen candidates are given the tickets to contest to start with. Elections are rigged for their chosen candidates. Eli from Ojodu Berger says, President Sandra, I listened to your reporter. The officers' excuses are a calculated planned system of favoring a particular party. They will do everything possible to frustrate the people just to have their way. Sandra, did you hear that? They're looking for people to join them to work. Are they just aware of the voting this morning? Obviously, no preparation for the election. Sandra, I don't know what to make of the denial of voting rights to non-indigenous of Lagos. What kind of country is this? It's hard to fathom. Ejike says he's a proud dot in a circle from Mississippi. Thank you for tuning into the show today. Now, Lagos, I wish we had more time to continue this, but not to worry. Monday at 3, I'll be back on air, and I'll give you a chance to talk to me about the biggest stories from this weekend. And one of the biggest stories from this weekend, the Lagos elections. Chief Oboforibo, thank you so much for giving us your time, as always.
Always a pleasure.
And Lagos, stay right here. More fantastic programming coming right up on your number one talk station, 99.3 Nigeria Info. If you cannot wait until Monday to hear from me, I'm on social media all the time. Social media, Sandra Ezekwesili. Just Google Sandra Ezekwesili. All my profiles will pop up, and you can look me up wherever you want to look me up. Facebook and the rest of them. Thank you for being a part of this coverage. And keep listening to 99.3 Nigeria Info.